Guys, it's Debbie with Debbie J's Crafting Corner. Today we're going to be using the blank of the month to make a fun holiday pillowcase. I have to be honest, this is a big enough blank that I had a little issue trying to figure out what am I going to do with this because it's so big. This is 29.5 by 21 inches. It's big enough. There's no way I'm going to be able to trace around it on a piece of paper to decide what my design's going to be. So here's what I did. I went on to Canva. That is just a software that I use a lot and a website that I use a lot for designing things like my thumbnails and things like that. And I drew out a canvas that was the exact same size. And then I picked the image that I wanted to use on it, and I gave myself a visual representation of what I thought I wanted it to be. Kind of like making a sketch, but making sure all the dimensions are right, because if I tried to draw it, I wouldn't have been able to do it. So you may not have that problem, but that's another option for you if you got something big that you want to see, okay, how is everything going to fit? I think that what I've got in mind is going to work. My plan is to do 3 of this lovely stencil from Catherine Pooler and Sizzix. This is called layered stencils, folk tree. So it's a holiday folk tree, and you can do it in whatever colors that you want. I kind of stuck to what's in the diagram here, but it's a layering stencil, and it is fabulous for being able to create these perfect little trees that, yeah, mass produced, fabulous. Anyway, I went ahead and did 3 of those. If 3 fit good on this, then that's what I'll go with. If it doesn't, then I will probably need to add, create 1 more, but it takes no time at all when I'm using my my stencil and stamp platform and these Sizzix stencils. I'm still pretty new to using the stencil and stamp platform by Sizzix. I'm also using my waffle flower sticky grid in there. One thing I have noticed is that the sticky grid is thick enough that I kind of sort of had to use this adapter thing in order to be able to use it and raise it up high enough because this is thicker than the sticky grid paper that you can get to go with your stencil and stamp platform. Regardless, this is still super easy to do. You put the stencil down using those little holes and the posts on the guide, and then you just add your color. And I'm using a couple of different things. I use my paper pouncers from Picket Fence. Some of the images or some of the holes were a bit smaller, so I pulled out some of my blending brushes. All of these, by the way, I have designated specifically for Artesprix, which is why on the top of my paper pouncers it says A. That's to remind me these are for Artesprix inks. I don't want to commingle anything. And yeah, I'm just adding the color on there and moving the stencil, and you can see there's already ink on there because I've done a couple and I'm just using the stencils over and over again with the same colors. So I'm actually even pulling in some of the color that is on the stencil into the holes. This is a super quick and easy process. I really didn't edit hardly anything out of this other than switching the ink pads a little bit. So this is basically real time. It takes no time at all to get this kind of a design done. And the results turn out perfect. I do like this stencil. This is fun. It's a kind of a folky Christmas. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know how to describe it, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Anyway, all the supplies I'm using today you can find down in the description and with affiliate links. So if you choose to use any of those, it does really help my channel out. So I really do appreciate everything that you guys do. So anyway, we're going to finish up this one. I think I've only got 1 stencil left to go. So before I start taping anything down, I wanted to make sure that I've got the right positioning and the right spacing. So I went ahead and put the pillowcase on one of my pillows. So looks like I've got about, I don't know, about 3 or 4 inches off the side over here that I don't want to do anything with. And this is because it's fabric, it wraps around it. So you're not going to be using that entire height or width. So looking at this, I think that 3 is going to be perfect as long as I position them about where I've got them here. I do see that there is a crease right there. That's going to be perfect place for me to line up the one in the center, and then I just need to line up the other ones beside it. So now I'm going to go ahead and take it off of the pillowcase and start taping everything down so I can press this. Okay, so I went ahead and folded it again. So this is the center point right here, is the center point vertically. Yeah, center point vertically. And I want that to be right about here where the center of my design is. And I think these two are darker, so I'm going to put them on the outside since they're not exactly identical. I'm going to put this one on the inside and tape it so that the center point there is right in the center of my design, of my pillowcase. Okay, I'm doing something I have never seen somebody else do it this way, but yeah, this is big enough, and I want to protect the inside of my pillowcase. Now, both sides are sublimatable, which is fantastic. I want to protect the inside though and make sure that nothing transfers to the opposite side. It may not, but I want to be extra cautious. So I've got my large protective mat, and I'm just wrapping it in some of the protective paper. This is going to slide into my pillowcase so that I can make sure I get everything lined up right where I want it and protect everything. So this is going to act as my bottom bun. We've talked before about how you do your sublimation sandwich. You've got your top bun, you've got your bottom bun, you've got your meat, which is your blank, and then you've got your design. Let's see if I can get this in there. And I'm going to first do the one in the center, and then I can go back and do the other two. And I had folded it before. I think I'm going to press it first. Let me do that real quick. I want to press it in the center so I can get the lining up perfect. So I am just folding it in half. So I've got it folded in half, and then I'm going to press it along that center line so I know that that is my center point. I do have my heat press already heated up. Let's do a quick press, and this is just to create that crease. And it did take out most of the other lines. I'm going to do another quick press so that I've got that as my complete center point. Okay, so that is good to go. That's just a giant iron adding that press in there for me. Okay, so next we're going to go ahead and put this back in there after I tape it again because it already came loose. And that way we can start adding our design. Okay, so here are our 3 designs. I've got the bottom bun, the bottom protective paper already in there. I've got my hamburger, which is my blank. And then I've got my design, so I just need to tape my design down. And because one of them is darker than the other, because you know how it is when you're stenciling things, one does turn out a little bit different. I'm going to put that one in the center because it is the darkest. And I want the center of my design right about here to be right there on that X. Actually, I'm going to trim this down a little bit just to make sure that I know exactly where everything is. And this is just so that I make sure that I don't put it on there crooked, because yeah, that I could definitely do that. I could see myself doing that. Okay, so now this is in basically the right shape, and I know that I need the middle part here and the middle part there to be along that vertical line, and then I need my flower to be right there in the center, so right about there. And then I'm just going to take some heat resistant tape and tape that down. And you do want to make sure that you're using heat-resistant tape for this because Scotch tape will not protect everything, okay? You need to make sure you're using this type of tape. So now we'll put down our second piece of protective paper. So we have our full sandwich done. And again, the design is on top so that it's going to be closest to the heat. Now I'm going to bring over my Cricut Easy Press. You need to do this one at 400 degrees for 45 seconds. Just check the website. I'm going to go straight down and hit the button and just hold it for 45 seconds. Okay, let's take a look. So next we're going to do our sneak peek to see whether or not it transferred. And this is a little warm, guys. And I can see a little bit of green there. Do you see that? Fabulous. Okay, now it is time for the big reveal. And that looks lovely. Okay, so now we have the one piece on there, and now we're going to need to position the other two. So I've got it on I've got it layered over the top of my pillow to try to make sure I've got everything about where I need it. I did realize that the opening end is on the opposite end of what I initially intended. That's okay. It's still going to look great. And I've got these basically with the center position about 5.5 inches apart from the center line. I'm using a T ruler and a regular ruler for this. Never ever get a chance to use my big rulers. So I've got it taped down in place for those. I'm going to go ahead and tape them down the rest of the way, and then we're going to be pressing them individually just like we did the center one. And just be careful not to get too close to this image, because if you do, it could wind up causing it to ghost a little bit. It could reactivate those colors, so we want to make sure not to do that. So I put my protective mat as far over as I could get it, and so that this is not on the original design, is not actually on that mat. And I positioned my protective paper all the way over to give me visual guides as to where to place my heat press. So you can see it's not actually pressing the previous design. Now this would probably be easier to do with a small easy press, you know, one of those little minis, or even a household iron. Thing is, with an iron, it does take longer to do any of these images, but you could absolutely use your household iron to do iron-on transfer sublimation. You could absolutely do that. Okay, let's take a look at this one, see how it did, and then we can get the last one done. Okay, looks like I probably need a little more heat. If you look at that, it's not quite as dark. That could be just because of the amount of ink, but I'm going to go ahead and do another quick press. That's why you want to do a sneak peek. We're going to do that one more time. I'm going to slide it over again, make sure it's where it needs to be, and we're going to go straight down. And I'm going to do it again for another 45 seconds. Okay, let's take a look. I'm going to take a look at that same corner and see how it did. Okay, it didn't really add any additional color, so that means that it was due to the amount of ink. If I wanted bolder color, I needed more ink. And now we're going to shift it over and do the last bit. So again, with our protective paper down, and we're going to go ahead and press it again, avoiding the other image, and just hit the button. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, and this I can see we've got good color on there. Fabulous. And the reveal. Now you could add additional, I initially thought I might want to add some snowflakes to it, but I think this is actually going to work pretty good. Also, adding additional means you always take that chance of overlapping the heat where you could wind up washing out some of the image. Now this is permanent. It's just if you apply high heat, like the 400 degrees that we're using for this project, you could start to remove some of it, and we don't want to do that. So let's take a look at the finished project. I've got a piece of tape on the inside, but actually a couple of them. I think that turned out pretty good. The only thing I didn't like is this part right here where it doesn't look like we had quite enough ink, but other than that, I think that looks cute. We're gonna have to take a look and see what it looks like on the pillow. I have to say I am pretty happy with the way that this pillowcase turned out. I have never done a pillowcase before. Anyway, if you guys decide to make anything like this, be sure to tag me and to tag Artesprix, and check out the playlist down below to see more videos where I am using Artesprix products. You guys have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.